Hi everyone.
Hi,
Welcome
Vinod.
back.
Hi, Shivam.
Welcome back, Nisha from the home planet. You're missing in the previous episode. And I told people that we are visiting your home planet, but of course I was kidding. But glad to have you back.
Thank
And
you.
Shivam is here once again with us. And it's a when the last episode I was talking with Shivam and we were chatting about how they get clients and things like that. And got me thinking it's a very crowded market now. It feels very crowded, right? There's a lot of noise and the number of platforms you have is reducing, right? You have X and the Twitter and YouTube and LinkedIn and maybe Instagram and a couple of others. Being heard seems more and more difficult nowadays. So one question that obviously pops up, and Nisha, I think you should ask a question about content marketing, right? I mean, how does it work anymore in this crowded world and AI? We
Yes.
have had this discussion so many times. Everybody can produce content and everybody can ape somebody. Everybody, builds, let's say, comes up with a video of a lion attacking somebody, AI generated. Another person will come up with a monkey attacking somebody. It's all same, right? The trend comes and goes within a
Yeah.
day, 2 day, 24-hour trends are there. So, Nisha, over to you about the content marketing problem that all of us are facing.
All of us are facing. Yes, Anup, indeed. So, Shivam, so my question to you would be, and what I want to understand from you is last week we were discussing content is dead and long live the content. And I know that you do something so specific with content, and I know that it gets great traction. So, in this age of lot of distraction and noise, what is one thing that your content must and should have? And how do you see that this whole movement of content, creating and generating and executing good content moving forward, considering as Anup mentioned, that we are living in such times of contracting platforms or contracting distribution channel and also contracting the attention span. So what holds, what works?
See, first of all, though, I think it's important to identify because of all the noise and clutter that is surrounding it. It's important to find the right objective against the channel for your TV. I mean, be very, very, very specific what you are saying to who you are talking and the channel or platform you're using. So let's talk about LinkedIn here. If LinkedIn is your channel as an agency owner, you cannot go out and push a sales pitch out there. It has to be around your authority that you kind of exercise in your domain, and putting it out in different ways you can, but it has to be around domain authority and thought leadership. And once however, wherever your niche lies, once you start to understand that is what is your idea, basically your ICP, what is it that they are resonating with, what is that they like to read, and what is the emotion under which they like to read a specific kind of content. Is it excitement? Is it FOMO? You identify that emotion, you know your ICP in and out, and you know your style. Once you know these three things, I think it's reasonably easy to figure that out, templatize it, and just keep going in and out. That is what I feel, and the same can be applied. The same fundamentals can be applied to organic social media or paid marketing as a channel, which we do here at the teaser company. So yeah.
One interesting conversation I was having with Nisha a few episodes ago, I think, was content is an ugly word, according to me. You don't go to a theater and watch content, right? You watch a movie. You don't read content in a book. You read fiction, novels, business books, etc. We have categorization for all this, right? One thing interesting about business communication that came up, especially the marketing related communication, is one is copywriting, which we do for ads, etc. Another is informative writing or essay writing, which we do for blogs and other things, right? That's supposed to be. There's a third space for something, which is storytelling. Now, of course, people can pounce on me and say, "Bhai, sab kuch storytelling hota hai." What are you talking about? But more and more we are going into the short form video based content and carousel based content and short write ups. I feel it's very important to have some kind of hook which is story based because memory is short and people are scrolling all the time. So if you're going to scroll infinitely, you need to have some kind of retention, right? Simplicity of that format has to be used and you have to tell a quick story that people retain. Shivam, is that correct to say that? I mean, it can be a mix of everything, but how do you differentiate between all these different types of content that people consume and how much of effort from a perspective of you have to produce a video too, then you have to do LinkedIn also, then you have to do Instagram, and it just seems overwhelmingly huge amount of effort that is required to move the needle. How do you come to terms with that, or is that a bad way of thinking about it?
See, I think, yeah, I mean, see, we have to, I mean, I would go back to the framework again here that if you have figured out your channel in a certain way and you have a framework to apply to it, basically everything is very analytical in nature then. I mean, yes, it is overwhelming that, you know, on every channel, the audience is reacting in a different way and there's so much content out there that it just becomes important to understand, you know, to weigh in the kind of content or what you are putting out there. But at the same time, if you have, I mean, the analytical approach would be to look at every channel in a way that, you know, when it's paid marketing, it's 1.5 minute or let's say 1 minute hook, message, call to action. You figure out the hook that is working well, and then you write 10 hooks and then, you know, redo or retemplatize the same thing with 10 hooks, and you have got 10 more pieces of content, rather than thinking I have 10 more stories to tell which will then resonate with it just becomes a lot on your shoulders if you think of it that way. So my way of thinking is that, you know, you figure out a framework for each of the channels. It's organic, then it's community building, understand your community, what they engage with, whether it's humor, write 10 10 memes, figure out the three that are working, and then write 30 according to that formula. So my thing is that, you know, if you know the channel, if you know the TG, and you know what is how you where what kind of space you occupy there, you have a template and you just replicate that. That is how I look at it, at least. Yeah.
For Shivam, it's so simple, right? Because he's been doing writing for such a long time. Why is it difficult? I wake up in the morning and churn out 10 things. Yeah, but most people get overwhelmed with it, and
Yeah.
they overthink this. That's a
See, that's
fact.
a thing. Gary Vee, there was a long time back, I think a couple of years ago, and when Gary Vee was kind of at the peak of his popularity. I mean, I don't see him that much anymore on any of my social media feed, but at one point
Wow.
was Gary Vee everywhere. So this is what he said, that from one piece of content you can generate so many different pieces, and there was this whole method and formula that he had shared with the world. But for him it worked. But also he had a huge team doing that. So Shivam, post COVID, and my agency has contracted and then AI also emerged. So how do you see this entire process shaping up? What do you think is going to happen? I mean, we all are figuring out our own processes. We are all figuring out our own workflow, but what does it look like to you?
See, the integration of AI, right, in content. See, absolutely. I mean, see, I mean, I'll again come back to my niche, which is paid marketing and performance marketing.
Mm-hmm.
What has started happening recently, and it's an algorithmic shift that is very much coinciding with the how the AI is rising. So I'll give an example. Until 6 months back, if you were a D2C brand in India or anywhere in the world for that matter, you could have a winning piece of content and get you know, whatever amount of sales you want to imagine, 1,000 units, 10,000 units a week, through that piece of content, because that was supposed to be the winner content. And what people used to do was, that, you know, you replicate that content with different hooks, like 10 hooks, and then, you know, you keep running that ad. The algorithm used to work in a way that, you know, that ad was yielding the maximum results for the brand, and it was easy for the brand owner or agency owner, fine, that this ad is working, isko 10 hooks se chalao, and then let's make it work. Now what has happened, the algorithm has changed so much that Meta itself has said that unless you have differentiated pieces of content, we won't treat those as 10 different ads. Let's say if you're just changing the first 3 seconds and thinking that you can rehash a winning ad into 10 different formats, it will count them all as one ad. This is where AI comes in. You know, you do the thinking, you do the thinking of, you know, how you can, now you have to produce 25 to 30 exclusive piece of ideas, exclusive pieces of content, and run them simultaneously for your brand or your ads to perform at their peak. Now this is the kind of prerequisite you have to use AI to expedite the execution. You cannot do it without AI if you don't have, I mean, whether it is of when it comes to idea generation, editing, or even producing that much pieces of content, unless you have that AI engine, it's very hard to produce 30 pieces of content for one brand and then do it for so many other brands as an agency. So that is where the power of AI has to be leveraged. I think there is no other way to go about it. It has to be done that.
Hmm.
Again, right? I mean, we have spoken about this so many times. AI is a tool. In the hands of expert, it'll help you do things faster and better. In the hands of a fool, well, you will get a lot of nonsense videos. But it's a tool at the end of the day. You have to use it as such, right? So, and we are not yet in pure AI era, right? It's still GPT. It's still just regurgitating what is existing. So if you know what works well, you prompt it well, it'll give you good output. But okay, having said that, I want to go back to your business itself, Shivam, right? One thing we observe, and Nisha talks about this quite often, is D2C in India is very regional, especially the sub 10 crore brands, not the 10 to 100 CR brands, which are spreading across multiple cities and all that, and 100 CR plus too is becoming very big. But the smaller brands are very regional. Delhi NCR, Delhi NCR. Bangalore sometimes just stuck in Bangalore. They don't even move to other parts of, or Mumbai brand is Mumbai brand. They can't move into Pune even, many a times. D2C, right? Why does that happen? I mean, we have had our own thought processes in, there's a consumer preference, regionality, culture, and things like that. Have you noticed that?
Interesting question. I think a lot of times it has to be because of the inventory and logistics issue. Because it's the QCOM era, and if you are not able to, optimize logistics in any specific external region, you have no choice but to stick to your region, and it just simplifies and optimizes the cost.
No, no.
That is my
That is one part. You're talking about logistics. I'm talking about reach. I mean, you're not even getting clicks or orders from other places. That's the interesting part, right? It's a phenomenon. Have you ever observed that? Has it happened?
Yes, it has. Yes, it has for sure. But most of the times it has been a conscious call due to XYZ reasons. Okay, so I'll give you an example. There was a brand called uh, it was called Pilk, and it was backed by a decent early stage VC. It was selling vegan milk made from peanuts, if I'm not wrong. I may be wrong there. And the intent was always to do all India first, but it so happened that the maximum sales were coming out of Mumbai. And the brand being based in Mumbai, it just made a lot of sense for them to restrict and optimize for the city itself. So it just became an easy so that it becomes a model for them to, make it foolproof for a city before going out into other cities. So
But
that is how it works for them.
when you were running campaigns and you observed that it is happening in Mumbai, did you ever, or did the brand itself ever investigate why Mumbai? Why is it not popular in other places? Is it a lifestyle thing? Is it a culture thing? Is it familiarity thing? What is the reason?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, and that would need the customer success team to, dig deeper into that. But yeah, there may be something there that we can discuss, or there may be something there. What do you think? I think maybe you, according to your Nisha, I mean, I would love to know.
One of the things, see, again, a lot of my work is on that side, right? But why does something happen in business? The reason your growth is stopped for some reason, right? So I dig into data a lot, Excel sheets upon Excel sheets. And what I've realized many a times, it's very, very localized phenomenon. And it's got to do with familiarity. Hey, I know you. I know the brand. I have heard about them. I've seen the hoarding. I've seen somebody has spoken. It could also be a status symbol, by the way. Somebody in a very high end party, a posh party, spoke about using this product. And everybody else who's a wannabe also wants to use that product because you have to be in the circle, right? That happens quite often, especially with premium products. Because in India, we have only two types of purchases. One which shows status symbol, another which is utilitarian. Anything which is a utilitarian product cannot be premium because we will haggle for it. Anything which has social status or symbolism behind it, we are happy to pay premiums for it. So that's why nobody haggles for iPhone, right? But they will haggle for the onion. Nobody haggles for the best LED QLED TV, Q dot TV, whatever that, quantum dot and all that, right? But they will still watch pirated movies and not pay the OTT price. So there's a dichotomy in India because of that, right? Utilitarian versus status symbol. What is
Interesting.
for example, you can buy desi ghee for 2000 rupees a kilo. Amul is available for 700 rupees a kilo, 600, 700, whatever that might be, right? But that is premium because grass fed, vegan, and all that other things come up, right? And people are buying it. But if you see the people who are buying it also are very health conscious and talk about being health conscious because that is a identity for them. So to back up your identity, you have to do certain things that are
Yeah,
driving
sorry
you.
about this. Yeah, yeah. I think I'll have
Yeah, sure.
So it's a funny thing that you say this, Anu, because identity has become such a thing, either in business or in politics, or socio-cultural. If even if
Tribalism.
hmm,
Tribalism, right?
yeah, tribalism. So from uniformity, we are kind of journeying back to very strong and localized parochial identities.
So tribalism has always been part and parcel of who we are as human beings, right? Now the tribalism is digital. I can find my tribe across the globe. Let us say I am somebody who loves a particular type of cartoon and loves cosplaying for that cartoon. Cosplaying is a very
Yeah,
big deal, right?
yeah,
And even in India, it has come up a lot. But
that's
that's a
true.
community of people which is global.
And
That's a tribe
yet,
of people.
that's a type of people. Yes. So Shivam, back to you.
So yeah, I mean, what I was saying is, Shivam, it's identity, right? I mean, do I identify with that in group, and therefore I will purchase those things, right? So that is one reason for many purchases in India. And we keep talking about 3D TV as being a very good example. Bought India had the maximum sales of 3D TV in the world. There's no 3D programming available. This I'm talking about 2015-16 times. There's no 3D programming available. You can't switch on the TV and say, I want to watch 3D programming. It doesn't exist.
And yet they
What
would buy.
exists, this is the CD that comes with that 3D TV. That's the only 3D programming you have. But it was a status symbol thing, right? That is a time when real estate was also taking off, and a lot of people had new homes, therefore new TV, better TV, 5 lakh rupee ka TV. Why? So in India, a lot of these things is symbolism, in group. I want to be
That's a
identified,
very
etc.
interesting one. I think the this status symbol versus utilitarian theory. It's very interesting, and that may be one of the reasons. The sense of belonging you said, followed by the status symbol and such kind of notion. I think this would be one of the reasons. Certain brands just tend to resonate or restrict the traction to a certain region only.
May not be intentional many a times, maybe unintended, because they never thought of the community part at all, right? Tribe at all. They thought, okay, everybody may like it, right? But that brings me to another question about this. Nisha may love this question, right? It's certain brands sell very high priced products in India. Fashion, let's say boots, right? Recently we had Saju Jain on the podcast, and we were discussing luxury product market taking off in India, in the sense Indian luxury products, Indian made,
India made.
India made, right? Watches that are 5 lakh, 6 lakh plus, boots that cost, 15, 20,000 rupees, which is a high price in Indian terms, right? Because you're still wearing the 1,000 rupee batas.
Mm.
So and kids fashion, for example, it's an upcoming this thing, kids fashion, where
Yeah, very.
a gown costs 8,000, 10,000 rupees for a child, right? Which they will outdo in 6 months. Do you see anything peculiar when it comes to marketing of such brands and sales of such brands in India? Have you experienced that? What's your take on it?
No, see, kids fashion is very, very, I mean, kids furniture, kids fashion. We have a good amount of case study on in the last 6 months to 1 year itself. And one of the reasons is that, people, let's say a decade back, there were only a handful of brands that exist in the entire kid segment. But people were very cautious when they were picking things for their kids. You know, first for their babies, and then it just became that, there were a handful of brands available for kids. But now, as more and more players are entering into the category, it's just there are different subcategories that are rising within that, and parents are understanding the demand that whatever kind of varieties exist, choices exist for them, similar amount of choices do exist for their kids also. So I see that I am very bullish on that category in general. Out of this, out of first of all, out of data, and second, how I see it, it has been relatively nascent in the before this decade. So that's how I look at kids fashion specifically like this.
But don't you think that Indian market, so people who are buying, the parents, while there is this aspirational thing about the kid, but they're also very price savvy. They see value. There has to be some value. Why would they buy? And I'm asking this question because we've had one client, and they're positioning themselves as a premium brand or a luxury brand. They are they are a French company, and they source their products from all over the world, mostly in European countries, and bringing it to Indian market. So they have a physical store, but online they have been struggling. Because the moment they announce the pricing, it goes for a toss. So even though it sounds in theory, in principle, it does sound very exciting. We think that a segment is opening up and people are willing to pay. I mean, compare that to our generation. The present generation, millennial parents are happy to pay, but they are still quite price conscious. I mean, who would pay 12,000 or 15,000 for one dress?
Yeah, see, that is a call you have to take at the brand level, I think. See, if you're building for value, like, Anup said, if it's a utilitarian this thing, then we have a success story of someone who has done cloth diapers, and cloth diapers is a very reasonably cluttered category now. But they just took it upon themselves that they will squeeze our gross margins, but give the most affordable diaper there is to date. And within 4 months of D2C launch in India, they're launching in Dubai next month, I think, 4 to 6 months ke baad. So that is the kind of scale you can hit if you're very clear that what you are here for. On the other hand, if you are seeking exclusivity, then it's more about brand and its connection to the consumers, and that is where the product market fit needs to be established. That what is it that you're selling, I mean, or talking.
What I was saying is that, many a times in the D2C Indian market, people are just throwing money at problems and assuming that the problem will get solved because there's more money. Instead of trying to understand why they exist, many people end up becoming Amazon of something because they really don't have a differentiator and they perish. They just die out after some time, right? Anyway,
True, true, true.
I think this conversation can go on forever because the way, see, one is the practical approach. Okay, let us try a few things and see what sticks. Another is bottom up. Why do I exist? What is the purpose of me being here? My company being here? Who am I catering to? It's a mission driven this thing, right? So yeah, I mean, a lot more to talk about, but I do believe we should drag Shivam back for
I
another
agree.
discussion at some point of
Yes.
time and continue this because this has been very interesting and I've learned a lot of things. Of course, I mean, questions are still pending. I know, I can see on Nisha's face also. She has 20 questions to ask, which is not being asked right now. But let's have Shivam for another episode. Till then, to all our listeners, take care and hope you are having a good new year.
Yes. Wishing everyone a very happy and successful 2026. And Shivam, to you as
Very
well. Thank you so much for
to you.
joining us. Thank you.